Welcome to Allie's Attic Show, where you never know what kind of surprise you're going to find in my attic. I'm your host, Allie, and today my guest is an author, a musician, and a whole bunch of things in between. Please welcome Tom Gambino. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Allie. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for coming on. I've been so looking forward to it. Thanks for rescheduling. As everybody knows, I was sick, so yeah, I couldn't do a lot of stuff. So tell me your journey. Like you were born in Trenton, New Jersey, and you started playing saxophone at the age of 12. And from there, you became a semi-professional 3 years later, so 12, 13, 14, when you were 15 years old.
Right.
Okay, so tell me your journey, Tom. Like, I can't believe you played the...
I started playing at 12, but my brother started playing about as 7 or 8. And together, we started playing Army bases, Navy bases, all over the metropolitan area of Trenton. And just to play for troops and to get some experience, we even played in some hospitals because the Korean War had ended there and there were still a lot of wounded soldiers. So that's how I started. And about a year or two after that, we became semi-regulars on a CBS show out of Philadelphia called the Horn and Hardart's Children's Hour. Horn and Hardart was a restaurant chain that had little slots where you put coins in and you open it up and take out a piece of pie and all that. And we did that for about a year and a half. And we also played on the Steel Pier in Atlantic City and the Kitty show called Tony Grant Stars of Tomorrow. And then later on 59, we were on Ted Mack and the Original Amateur Hour on CBS. That was our first nationwide appearance.
Wow.
And so I continued to study. I went to college. I graduated. I taught school for a couple of years. We did some nice things in college. We started, other two roommates were also composers. And we started composing for symphony orchestra and concert band and the choir. And we put on a concert, and it was well received. That's when I started my writing career too. I was made the editor of the music department newsletter in college.
Oh, okay.
And after I graduated, taught for a few years. I didn't really like teaching too much, and I started private studies with Phil Woods, who was, I don't know if you know anything about him. He's one of the greatest saxophone players to ever live. He was a direct disciple of Charlie Yardbird Parker. And that's how I got the nerve up to move to New York. And we had bought a new house. We sold the house. We had 3 little babies. We hopped in a car and moved to Queens in New York.
Wow.
And I got work fairly quickly. I worked with Tito Puente and Celia Cruz. Celia was one of the most famous Cuban singers there ever was.
Wow.
And Bob Crosby, Ralph Martiri, Warren Covington, who did was the leader of the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra after he died.
Oh, okay.
And Tex Beneke, who worked with Glenn Miller, Buddy Morrow, Mel Torme, Machito, a bunch of other people, and a lot of Latin dancers. Just love Latin music.
And you know, Mel Torme, Mel Torme, I mean, I knew who Mel Torme was, obviously, but I think Jerry Seinfeld really brought Mel Torme into the spotlight. It popped into my head that he talked about Mel Torme all the time.
Mel Torme was a big singing star all the way back in the 40s.
Yeah.
And he became later when I was with Ham. He became the host of Ham's one night stand show, which was done in Toronto, by the way.
Ooh, Canada.
And half the orchestra was Canadian and half the orchestra was American.
Oh, wow.
And I did most of the arranging for that show.
Awesome.
and it was an hour long. It was a great show. So many Illinois Jocquette and Jerry Mulligan and Johnny Mercer and Mo Kaufman, who was a very famous Canadian saxophone player, and Woody Herman, Buddy Rich, Jerry Mulligan, Sue Sims, B.B. King, Teddy Wilson, Gene Group, a whole bunch of people were on that show. And it was like almost every idol I ever had was performing my charts. I almost went crazy.
I guess.
It
Now,
was
BB King, I've had his daughter Rita on, and she has such amazing
sorry, I
stories
couldn't
about
hear
BB
that.
King. Now, also, I just wanted to touch to Dusty Springfield and the rock group Ocean also appeared on the program.
Right, right.
I'm a
Well,
huge. Sorry, go ahead.
Dusty Springfield was very famous in England for having jazz players on her show when she had a show, and and particularly black players. So Hamp said, I have to have her do the show. And Ocean, as you know, did Put Your Hand in the Hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were on the show too. So the show itself, one called One Night Stand, was a complete amalgamation of Canadian and American talent. It was a great experience.
That is awesome. Now,
Yeah.
after leaving the Hamp, you then went on to perform with the John Shaw and Rick Wald orchestras.
Right, right.
And I'm going to say his name, Bill Watrous.
Bill Watrous.
Manhattan
Bill
Wildlife.
Watrous was a trombone player on the old Merv Griffin show. Do you remember that?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah. And he put together a big band called the Manhattan Wildlife Refuge. But it was staffed with a lot of really great musicians. We even played for Sarah Vaughan once. We did a regular sessions at a place called Sam's Club, which was owned by Marielle Hemingway. And we also put together a Manhattan saxophone quartet during that period of time. So, which did mostly classical music.
Oh, okay.
And we did a few radio shows at that time.
Awesome.
So after that, Lori and I, my wife and I, decided to start a publishing company, and because I got tired of submitting my arrangements to different publishers and them rejecting it, and then 6 months later they come out with something that sounds similar.
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to start our own company, and we did, and it did fairly well, and it changed over time from music publishing to advertising. We did databases and all that. That's about the time that I started with the Joffrey Ballet, and we were the first. Became a member of a group where we called ourselves the Vegetables, although we didn't really have an official name. And we were the first American rock band to play in the Soviet Union. And
wow.
When I came back, I wrote a book called "Rock Goes to Russia," and it was submitted to various publishers, and they all rejected the idea. They didn't think that a musician should talk politics, you know. So, but then the State Department decided they wanted to see the manuscript, and because there was a clause in the contract between the Joffrey Ballet and the government that anybody who wrote anything had to submit, and I fought that thing, and I refused to send it to them. And Prentice Hall, I got a lot of publicity from the New York Times, and we promoted. We decided. The publisher decided actually to change the name of the book from "Rock Goes to Russia" to "Yet an American Rock Musician Encounters the Soviet Union." That was in 1976.
Yeah.
And I appeared on a lot of radio and television during that period of time. I was really lucky to get a lot of media exposure during that time, and I got a lot of good reviews, a couple of stinky reviews, but that happens.
Yes.
You just have to smile and bear it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in the process after that, I've been involved in about 14 other books of different types.
Yes,
And
like
then I really had a sense of cognitive dissonance when we got back from the Soviet Union, because I have a natural inclination to want to see people get along together, but I saw that there were things that were happening there that would made that nearly impossible.
mm-hmm.
So, excuse me, I discovered a book called Amato and the Price of Lasting Peace, and I got in touch with the author, and together we formed the Amato Foundation and the Amato Orchestra. So the foundation was going to work on translating Amato's text, because he was Italian, and the orchestra was going to be the musical reflection of all that, where we take music from a lot of different cultures and try to put them together as best as possible.
And that was...
And we were fairly successful at that. That lasted from 78 until 90, and then I couldn't continue it after that.
And that was with Gaetano Miele, right?
Yeah, Gaetano Miele.
Miele, okay.
He was a judge in Milan, and he became somewhat famous when the prime minister couldn't understand why the Italian parliament was all messed up and the British parliament worked so well. So he sent Amato to England to check it out, and Amato came back and very quickly and said, well, it's easy. The Italians are Italians and the British are the British. And the British just have it down and we don't, so we have to get on it. And you know how many governments have changed since that time.
Yeah.
In Italy.
Definitely.
So anyway, I worked with Esther Satterfield for a while. I taught college for a couple of years. We started a record company, and then I got involved with Marty Denayer, and we put together a very good, a big project called Let It Be Earth Day Every Day, which featured about 100 kids from movies and television. It was a great opportunity. We did the music here in New York, and we filmed everybody in Los Angeles. So that was quite a thing. But
wow.
It never came to fruition because we finished it, but BMG was the record label that was involved, and there was an argument between the company that we were signed to and BMG, and the whole thing never happened.
Oh, no.
So it was, it took us a while to get over that, but we recovered by just picking ourselves up and doing another album, which really worked out. That was Marty's Song to the Muses album.
Okay.
So it's been a very interesting career, and now I'm involved in a documentary based on that Horn and Heart, our television show I told you about.
Okay.
That happened in the mid. The stars of the documentary are Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Colin Powell, Elliot Gould, who's the comedian that's on it? Mel Brooks.
Oh my goodness!
I forget Mel Brooks.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I have a small part too, and I've helped the producer with a lot of the background in terms of the show.
Okay.
Because she knew a lot about the restaurant chain, but she didn't know much about the show.
Alrighty.
So it's been an interesting journey.
It's been quite the journey. You've done so many things. Now, I wanted to touch on something that you missed. You assisted composer Marty Denayer with the film score for the
Right.
Republic Films motion picture Deadly Obsession in '88.
Right.
And gosh, you and your daughter contributed spoken word tracks for the CD Land of the Forgotten People, a tribute to Native American culture and music.
Right.
And I'm in Manitoba, I'm in Canada, so there's a lot of Native
I've been
Americans
to Winnipeg.
here. Yeah, have you really?
Yeah. Yeah. So during a very spare time in my life, and here in New York, when a friend of mine said she worked for a clothing manufacturer, and they needed to send a sample of denim material from New York to Winnipeg, and they asked me if I would just get on a plane with the package and run to Winnipeg, deliver the thing, and come back. And that's what I did.
That's your.
So
I hope
Winnipeg experience.
I hope you didn't come in the winter.
Oh, it was. Yes,
oh no!
Was.
Oh no! That's the wrong time to come to Winnipeg.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you love snow and cold.
Actually, I've been to Canada quite a bit. I mean, other than the television show that we taped there, with the Joffrey, we played in Vancouver. With Hamp, we played in Hamilton, Ontario.
Oh yeah.
And we also did a week-long engagement with Hamp in Montreal.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, so I've quite a bit of Canada.
Well, that's good.
Very nice.
Yeah, not too many people I talk to, because the majority of the people I interview are from the States or the UK or wherever. Not too many Canadians. And yeah, I'm like, yeah, you don't want to come here in the wintertime. And not too many have come, so I'm glad that I'm talking to somebody that has. Now, let's talk about this really quickly. You're listed in the Who's Who in the East, Contemporary Authors, the Blue Book, Leaders of the English-Speaking World, Dictionary of International Biography, Cambridge, England, Men of Achievement, Cambridge, England, Personalities of America, the International Who's Who of Contemporary Achievement, Community Leaders of the World, Biography International, India, 5,000 Personalities of the World, Who's Who in American Entertainment, International Who's Who in Music and Light and Classical Fields, 2,000 Outstanding Musicians at the 20th Century, Strathmore's Who's Who, Strathmore's Who's Who, that's hard to say a whole bunch of times, Worldwide, and Outstanding People of the 20th Century. That is a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of who's too, by the way. But that is amazing, Tom. Like that, you've done so much. I'm just wow. It's crazy. When I printed off your bio and I started reading it, number one, it's you getting engrossed in it. I mean, it's just amazing. And I was reading, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to condense all of this? Because he's done so many different things. So because you've done so many different things, what is your favorite thing? Is it playing music, or is it writing?
Well, I ran into some medical problems in the early 90s, mostly dental, so I couldn't play, and the money that I would usually throw into the orchestra had to go to the dentist.
That's nice.
So I had to, but then I started, it took me 12 years to write my memoir. It's The Vagabond's Musician's Journey, a Musician's Odyssey. And that took a long time, and I concentrated on that because I've always enjoyed writing. In fact, when one thing dries up, the other one kicks in. So I go back and forth between writing and playing, but I still compose, I still arrange, and but I don't perform anymore.
Ah, okay. Well, you've got quite the career of.
So
Pardon?
I am 76, so it's a little hard to.
Oh my goodness, are you? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, keep doing what you're doing because obviously it's working really well for you. And has your memoirs been published?
It was published, by Outskirts Press in Denver.
Okay.
It's out. It's about 1,100 pages.
Well, you've got a lot to fit in there.
Yeah, my children have also been involved in a lot of things. My daughter's an actress, and she was on Law and Order once or twice. and she still is very active in acting. My other son is my son is an artist and a sculptor and a painter, and he's very heavy into advertising. And him and his new bride have started a new company and on their own for the first time. And he teaches at one of the state universities schools here.
Oh, wow.
And I have another son who has a day gig, but he's got 3 rock albums out. And he's had musical groups for the past 25 years.
Oh, really? Send them my way. I'd love to interview them. Okay, so based on everything that you've gone through in your career, all the ups and downs,
Right.
if you could give anybody advice, whether it be an author, a musician, whatever the case, an artist, period, what kind of advice would you give them, Tom?
Never give up.
Wow.
If you I've had failures too in my life. I mean, everybody has.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for Esther Sotterfield for a while, and that was not a good experience for me. And you work with some people and it's good. You work with some people, it's not good. And the thing to do is not lose confidence in yourself, to pick yourself up, move on.
Wow,
It doesn't necessarily have to be in the field you were in, as you can see. That's part of the thing that I've always done. I move from one thing to another. I don't stick to things too long. Although my playing career lasted nearly 50 years, so
yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, that's great advice. That is amazing advice, because I totally believe in what you say. Never ever give up on your dreams.
That's true.
Now, if people wanted to find you, they can find you on your website, which is tomgambino.com. Now, just everybody, it's spelled THOMGAMBINO.
Right.
.com.
That's it.
And you can also find him on Twitter at Tom Gambino, and once again, THOM. I want to say thank you so much. I said, I read your bio and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he's coming on my show. So thank you so much. I wish you the best. And if anything new happens, or you want to come back on, or your children want to come back on, send them my way. And take care, Tom.
I'm available to you anytime.
Aw, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
And thank you for joining me on Allie's Attic Show. Keep checking my website, because you never know what kind of surprise you're going to find in my attic. Cheers.